Alright guys, on to the gauges. Now this is the rear armrest console, and we're going to do some work to this in a few minutes. But before I do, rather than take the front one out, because that one's bolted down, we're going to set this one up as if it's the front one, because this is still intact. In a few minutes we're going to cut this off, relocate the cup holders into the armrest area. Personally, I don't like eating or drinking in my car, but if you're on a long road trip and somebody gets thirsty, it'll be there. This is about the level that the front one is sitting at, maybe a little bit lower, there. And I want the gauges to sit so that they are viewable to the driver. Now this bracket doesn't help in terms of mounting them where I want to, but it's going to sit something like that, a little bit higher, like so. So you glance down, you see your GPS screen, you see your gauges. I trust these gauges over what's in the car because those are more of a dummy gauge, and then these switches will be down, perhaps on a bit of an angle, raked upwards towards the back. I need to figure out what that angle is. So down from the top surface, we need the bottom bend to happen at 1.25 inches. All right, 1.25 inches. I believe these are 2 inch, yes. So we're gonna get a piece of cardboard here. I'm gonna rough it in using just a piece of cardboard for now, and then we'll make the real one. And I'm debating aluminum or paint it. So the dash itself is painted. This is going to be kind of a high traffic, high finger touching area. With aluminum, we'll probably have to brush it, clear coat it, so that your fingers won't oxidize it. It's one of the challenges. You don't want to be polishing it all the time. Here, I'll show you something. It's one of the R2 dash panel or console panels we made up that we didn't end up using. It's a little bit dusty, a little bit dirty, a little bit of overspray on there, but this was a piece of aluminum, brushed, and then clear coated with a logo embossed into it. 5/8 of an inch. And then we're going to drop down 2 1/4. How large is the overall? 2 1/4. Look at that. 2, and let's go 2 3/8. From there, just to give us a little wiggle room. 2 3/8, 2 3/8. The bottom, not sure how long we're going to be. And then we have to kick up at the top. Down and up, down and flat. That's the $1,000,000 question. Instead of reaching down into a hole, you just kind of slide your hands down and you can feel the gauges that way instead of down. So I think from this point on we will come back up. Yeah. So how far? We'll get this yet. Let's go 4 1/2, just for fun. 4 1/2. 4.5. And let's get center, 9, 4.5, 4 3/4. Wow, 9.5, 4 3/4, and 8.5. Let's move that out of there. But you see, that's going to be going up on an angle. Let's give it a little more than 4.5. Hello. Someone's crawling around there, saying hello. Hey, there we are. Okay. Now this is what we have to decide on. All right. So I've got that centered. I want that to kind of tuck in like that. Center it and do something like this. That's the front. And we need to bend. I need a sharp edge. I like that. So there is a rough template, second rough template of what we need to do. We will have to do some trimming to the underside of the bezel. Let's pop this off. This stuff in here, trim it up a little bit because it overlaps. And on the underside, they've got some of this webbing and whatever in here. I'm going to trim the front back. The back one sits quite nicely underneath. The sides sit well, it's just the front is a bit low. And then we'll make our gauges, punch out our gauges, the circles, cut them out, and I think we can go ahead and make it. All right guys, so here's what we're going to be cutting out and bending. Cutting out first, we're going to cut out these holes and cut out these two holes for the switches. It's going to sit in there like that, and there'll be a secondary one right there. So I made up a template earlier just to get the right size, and that essentially drops through, and it's an interference fit. I was playing with the distances, what would look better further back when your hand is just resting over the edge. Your fingers will just touch them, and it's a comfortable fit. Gauges, this is gone. We're going to punch 3 fresh holes, 2-inch diameter right there, and that will be bent up. Before we go bending it, we're going to drill it and cut the holes. It's a lot easier than trying to maneuver things around once it's in a different shape. The only thing we have to be careful is when we start bending it, that all the holes stay flat. This is a piece of 20 gauge sheet metal. I could have gone with aluminum. I think the aluminum will actually draw your eye more towards this area. I don't want this to be the focal point. I want the entire car inside to be the focal point. So when you get in, your eyes don't get drawn to one particular aspect of the car. It gets drawn to everything at once. It's a complete picture. It's not like, hey, look at me. So if I start drilling in the corner, the hole is going to creep out and it'll be past where this little molding is going to probably cover. So I've stepped back from the edge and we'll drill up to the line. At least that's the plan. And the Sharpie goes away. Done. And that's what we want all the holes to look like. Up to the edge. We may have to take and sharpen up that corner. That's not a big deal. You get the file in there and clean that up. But the majority of the hole will be cut out like that. I really want a nice little radius in there, so we're going to try for that. There we go. We have the hole located to the lower side. Our bend will be just underneath there. And these should, by rights, fit. It's supposed to be 2-inch. I'll have to clean the burrs up a little bit. I don't want there to be any slop in this part. Nice and snug. Okay, and knock these out, clean that up, bend it up, and get it installed. Ah, that's why it wasn't. There we go. Alright guys, so we just about have this panel wrapped up. I've tacked washers onto the sides so we can actually mount it and doesn't fall out. This sits up here like this. Now this is the back console, the rear console, so we are using it as a test piece, if you will. These are the existing fasteners that were in the console. This is the front console bezel, the one with the lights. We'll drop that in, and hopefully our alignment is good. Nope, not quite. There we go. There we go. It needs to go back a little bit. There's a bit of a space there, and we have a bit of a space under there. Yeah. So this front needs to roll up a little bit. Let's make that adjustment, and then I gotta tip those washers, and we'll slide the whole thing back just a hair. You see there's a bit of a gap right along the back side there, back gap, back side. It's been a long night. Took a break from this, did some other stuff. Yeah, so if you trim up these washers at the back, allow it to move rearward, and then give them a tip, that'll bring the front up. Don't need much. It's these fine-tuning adjustments that take the time. You need to see exactly what's happening with the panel. Well, that's better. It sits up on top. Goes in there like that. Let's try this again. I think I need to squeeze that in a little bit. Okay. Well, that looks a lot better. Nice, nice. This side needs to move back. Otherwise, it's snapping in all the way through, just about. Ah, there. So we have a little tab here. The back side, it's pushing that down, which is not allowing it to sit where it needs to. It's snapping down all the way. It feels good. Right there. All right. It's coming in. Nice, nice. Good. Switches. One drops in. I have to take and bend this edge to pick up this little tail here, and that'll tighten everything up so they don't move around. And gauges. Oil pressure, I don't know, put it over here. Seems like a good spot. Voltage, I'll put it over here. Good. Okay, it's below the top surface. And we have there, temperature. So we can turn them on an angle towards the driver, like so, or keep them straight. Put it down in the comments. Let me know what you like. And you see what I mean about if we had done this in aluminum, bright, right away your eye goes to this. This is going to be blacked out. I don't want this chrome, and it's peeling here anyway, so I'll take and redo that, make it black. This here piece, I might leave that because we do have long strips of chrome on the dash. So this area here, I was either going to paint a body color, like the red, or black it out entirely. So all I see is the gauges, the faces, and that's it. Switches done. Like I said, that's got to be tightened up a bit, but I think we're going to stop at this point. I'll throw a few coats of high build primer on this, sand it out, and this will be done. This section on the rear console, we're going to take and chop it off right through here. When you get in the back seats, this is going to be in the way to jump through, so we're just going to knock it off right there, move the cup holders into here. This needs to come out and work on final detailing. So this is what we started with. That's what we have. So let me get this trim off, and then we'll take and cut this and make up a piece to cover, to blank off the front. And then this can be cleaned up. We have some burrs from cutting it earlier back here, and we can go ahead and shoot this or dye this black, this plastic and the armrest cover. Because I couldn't find another black one. Unfortunately, I went through the whole place and they had nothing but gray, lighter gray, one black one for the front, which we're going to be using, and well, this. Alright, so I've created a template of the front face of the console. We almost have enough material here. I'm not worried about whatever rolls underneath because this bends here, so we'll have enough to accomplish that. Roll this over. Okay, we're getting close. All we need to do is shrink this top leg. Give it a bit of a curve. A little bit wide there. Okay, it's coming in nice. We'll have one fastener at the top, perhaps one at the bottom. What can we do there? This is rocking. I should shrink. Yeah, it's dish this way. I need to shrink it right there. Okay, that's looking good. I'm going to tuck this in just a bit. That's looking nice. Yeah. Oh, the bottom has to be rolled up too. And I think if all goes well, we'll put a pop rivet right there. It'll go into the plastic. Reason why? I want to restore this trim back onto this console. The end, we're going to have to cap it off because it's open. I don't want an open hole. And yeah, we'll trim it and do both sides, and that trim piece will cover up that pop rivet. Okay, tweak the edges a little bit. Let's see if it'll fit inside. That side's going. That side's a little bit snug. That's looking good. All right, let's drill 2 holes, one on each side, at the bottom as well. We'll put some pop rivets in, but we won't seal it up just yet. We need to see what we got to do with these corners, see how the trim blends, and give it a coat of paint. And there we have it, the little rear console. This has to come up just a little bit at the front here, and it will sit where it needs to. And inside we'll have our cup holders. On the back side of this one is where we're going to have the power window switches for the rear windows. It's coming out quite nice. These corners, what do we do with these corners? We need to create caps to go along here to conceal the wiring. So there's going to be one more long piece running down the side, and I think, like I suggested, like I was planning on, we're just going to cut off most of that and bend over 1/4 inch up inside. Bum 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 bum. The acoustics, I hope you can hear, are sounding really nice inside the car. As you can see, we've got the steering wheel installed. There's one more thing we have to do. Tighten down the center nut. I'm not going to do that until everything inside the dash is finalized because it's kind of in my way to reach in. I just wanted to get the feel of it and see how it looked inside the car. Last time we left it off, it was clear coated and put aside to cure. The original steering wheel, I'll bring it in a second, was way out here, you know, and this feels a lot more sporty. Today what we're working on, excuse me, the seat studs farted. I haven't bolted the seats down yet, so it's kind of moving back and forth. So what we're going to be working on today is the center console. All the wiring is finalized. I'll get you in a second to show you what's going on. And then we're going to cover it all up with the center console and hopefully install this nifty little head unit. It's nice and small, and if you remember from, I guess, a while ago, we set it up so that it went up and down at the turn of a knob. Unfortunately, this knob, I'm not sure what happened, but it's separated inside, and it's been on order, actually at the post office, for the past little while. There's a bit of a thing going on. So when it gets there, we'll get it installed. I'm not too concerned about that. The wiring is all down to it, and we have somewhere in here the wires right there that go to the actuator. So I'm just going to tuck them up out of the way so we don't, tangle them up. It's going to be a little bit tricky to get the console in because of the seats, but I think we can wrestle it in here. If you guys take a step back, actually, let's get you in, and then take a step back and show you what's going on with the wiring. Uh-oh. The door handle is on the bench over there behind you. Shoot! Let's see if I can reach the handle on the outside. Yep, good. That was a close one. All right. So I'm trying to get back as far as I can in the seat, but there's your first person view of the steering wheel. And, well, the dash sections once we get them installed, and the center console area with all the wiring that we're going to be installing. These are the pigtails for the power windows. Right here we've got the pigtails for the stereo. Over there we have the antenna for, it's a Y-splitter between the head unit here and the original radio. We're going to run both. Got an antenna installed there on the dash. GPS antenna installed over here. So that's all been taken care of. Last thing now is just to kind of cover things up. We've got a clamp here that we need to mount so that all this wire is not flexing as the unit's going up and down. We don't want it to eventually come apart. What else? Power adapter for the cigarette lighter or cell phone charger, whatever you want to call it, inside. And the hidden trunk release, which is not too hidden anymore. We also have these wires here that connect our little information center and well, the power window switches. I talked about that. Let's go grab that center console, and hopefully I can squeeze past you guys there, and then we'll install it and see if we can get all the mechanisms to work out. Not again. One unpolished door handle. That's one of the spares. Slide right on through here. I think we can work around it. I was going to take the steering wheel off, but I'll leave it on. I really like the way that came out. If I can shine some light on it. It's like a burr walnut finish. We've got about 5 coats of clear on here, so this is going to wear and wear and wear, and it's going to look great for many years. Now, this is the tricky part, because we want to make sure that no wires get pinched. That's going to sit about there and there. So I've got those screws installed at the front, so that's all mounted. And this fandangled dealie, this bracket, is what's going to actuate the head unit up and down, or up from inside the console. This area here will have the armrest. So I'm not installing this just yet until this mechanism has been planted. Make sure we're not pinching anything. And it should, by rights, slide in from the bottom. I can take this piece off. It's an upholstered piece. Let me double check something. I want to make sure that nothing gets pinched. Okay, this is for the actuator. Pair of wires. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. We can't have cables catching on the mechanism. There's a slight imprint on the carpet from where it was mounted, so I'm kind of gauging myself with that as to where, come on, there we go, as to where it's going to sit. I apologize for not being a little more accommodating inside the car here. When we go for our shakedown run, you guys will be a lot more comfortable. Now, that looks good there. These wires here, this is for the old school radio. That's the ground. We got some USB cables tucked away back there. I've got a little surprise when it comes to the USB charging port and you know, the one you install your USB key into. A little surprise, you'll never find it on this dash. I'll have to show you where it is. Now these are the two wires for the up and down, and this here is the clamp. We have to clamp it. Ooh, easy there. There. Yeah, that's going to be the clamp. Oh, what the heck am I doing? Some days I don't know, guys. Where'd they all go? Once the carpeting's installed, it's a little tricky. The holes in the bottom plate are a little bit larger than necessary. Reason why, it allows us the freedom to align this top section with the console. Now, should find this one easier. Come on, right there. Once you puncture it, you can see the hole, but after you vacuum it, you kind of lose where they go. And being that this is Canadian built, I decided to leave a few Robbies around on the car. Most places have been replaced with stainless fasteners, Phillips head. There we go. Now let's leave that loose. Loose. This has to fish down. Let's go down this side. Keep it equal. You don't want the drinker side to be left out. Now I don't know which way is hot, which way is cold, because there's two directions, and we'll have to switch it up at the switch. Oh well, it doesn't matter. To get the direction right. When you turn to the left, I want it to go down. When you turn to the right, I want this to go up. It'll be up in here. There's the plug for it. I just don't have the knob for the switch. Well, the internals, they just popped out. Okay, so that's going to sit like that. I'm leaving this in place. There's another cover that goes here, and one final one that goes there. Yeah, I am going to have to pull this out one more time after this has all been upholstered. This is when I'm setting up the top pieces. So we'll set this one, and then I'll have to set the final one up there. There's no point hooking up the head unit right now, as much as I want to get some tunes cranked in here. Okay, let me get this top cover piece down and see if it looks good. I think we can just retract that. Everything fit before upholstery. They were tight. That's why I marked that one to be cut off. Okay, that's back all the way. It's nice. That's got to be there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's one more piece that goes in the front. We're going to have to adjust this one later on. And all this has to come out one more time to get the two screws in, or pre-drill the screws for this front cover piece. And I guess I won't take you along for that ride, but right now this is about the most crucial step, just to get all this lined up. I'm going to cut that off, we'll get that piece mounted, upholster that, or just wrap it in some vinyl, and then yeah, the front piece, we'll have to get that done. Okay. I just finished upholstering this panel. We're going to let that sit for a bit while we get the center console installed. For those of you who have ever seen or owned a Chrysler 300i, I believe, the new one, the late model one, this is a console that came out of 2010, I think. So we kind of kept the Chrysler theme throughout this car. Yes, we could have built a console, but worked out just as well using something aftermarket. Okay, we're there. Got studs that come up from a bottom plate that's mounted on the tunnel. So that should allow us to thread things on. We have some forward and rearward motion. They've slotted the holes, so it'll help us in lining things up. Okay, now plug that in, and that's going to sit kind of like that. Good. Okay, that's it. I think we need to move ahead a smidge. So we'll give that a smack on the rear. I think that's right there. Okay, now to pin the front. We've got this cup holder. It's going to fit right in there. That'll squeeze together. It's looking good. Snap that in. Do we snap it in? I guess we could. I'm not hooking up the plugs yet for the charging port back there or installing the switch. No, we can't do that yet. I'm not sure. I guess what I'm thinking about right now is if I'm able to get all this done in this video, given the time we have today, or get this kind of installed, give you guys a look as how it's going to look like, and then eventually have to pull it all apart. So let's keep going and installing this gauge panel. I might be able to reach in there with an angle bit and drill down through the top to get those screws in. So we will keep moving forward, yes. Plug this all in and kind of literally wrap this up. Now by rights, I should have this panel installed because it's going to help hold things in the front. And let's connect the gauges. This is the tricky part. You don't want miles and miles and miles of wiring, so you try to keep things at a reasonable length. Black to black, blue to blue, green to green. I believe green is, in our case, temperature. Blue is oil. Red is the lights, Pink is illumination. Oh no, not lights. Pink, what's pink? Red is voltage and power. And pink is lights. There we go. So the voltmeter and power to all the gauges is red. We'll leave, I should connect that. While we're at it, might as well, right? So if I do have to take it apart, it means a little disconnection. We got this here plug, or switch I should say, for the trunk. Maybe I should have hooked it up before. There we go. Okay, battery's not connected, so I'll assume that works. Now, with these cup holders, they have a nice, really cool LED glowing effect going to them, but they're not all the way around. It's only half of one, half of the other, and it doesn't appear to be burnt out. It's just, that's the way they light up. If anybody can shed some light on this for me, I would really appreciate it. Chrysler 300, 2010-ish era, the Chargers, same thing. They have these little, it's a little perimeter band just underneath. I will have to remove this cup holder, so this will have to come out, and we're going to take and delete this chrome around the top perimeter. It's peeling over here, and the only chrome I want is really around the instrument gauges, not around here. I want this to disappear, so we'll peel that off later. But as for today, we're going to just keep moving forward. So that's going to drop in there like that. Get these two screws. I've had this in a number of times earlier. especially when we were fabricating. That was in and out all the time. And I did modify the plastic in this console to accept these gauges. I wanted to sit down low. I didn't want it protruding up. Alright. Now, that's looking good right there. Nice if that could slide ahead like that. You can see the plug for the lights. I'm not connecting it right now. I'm just going to leave that down like that. There we go. Snap in, snap in. I wish I had my light. This has got to mount in there like that. So I just finished modifying this fixed piece, the one that's mounted to the console. The one that goes up and down, that's up there. So just had to readjust it so that it came into contact a little bit better with this little cup holder. You got to find holes right there and screws. Oops. I have to take and heat this up a little bit, the plastic, to allow it to kind of settle in, because it's still coming up a bit. So fine touches. Now let's get both legs in the car. This piece here, just puncture the holes. This thing fits right up into here. This is what takes the time, turning the screws by hand. This front piece here. There we go. You can slide this. Oh, nice. See? Wunderbar. Just a little bit, that's all we needed. All right. Now things are going to settle in as well, because we are I like that. Now ooh, that's no good. We're bumping something. Okay, all this wiring still has to get pushed back inside. So it's preventing that door from sliding up all the way. This has been pulled ahead, and it needs to slide back like that. So now hopefully this will come up all the way. Nice. Okay. And with the screen, we can probably drop it in place. I'm leaving the plastic on for now. Looks like heck, but there's a reason for it. Oh yeah, look at that. Should we take it off? I think we're going to have to be a little bit more patient yet. And, well, you can see the plastic, but it came down nice. Final thing we got to do is install this back piece, and I can't do that until our wiring has been finalized. So a lot of little things, guys, but as you can see, we are getting very close. I can come down a little bit more right there, close that gap in. There we are. Oh, one more thing. Our bezel for the gauges. See that? So all of our gauges on our dash, they're black, complemented with a ring of chrome. Our tachometer, same thing. Here, the individual gauges are black, but we have a chrome surround that finishes off our console. Like I said, I want to make this disappear because I don't want this to grab the attention. I want this to grab your attention to a degree. Those screws, we'll black them out, and I think that's going to be it. I'd like to heat these up with a little bit of the heat gun, just let them settle in a bit because they're under a little bit of tension. Now, one more thing I want to do for you guys is bring the door panel in and show you how that works with our interior. Now, I'm not going to be installing these panels today. We're going to make the adjustments on the window tracks, make sure they seal really well up to the top. This rubber still has to be installed for the top seal of the door. We need to make a filler piece that comes into here and meets up with the glass. And we're going to get this glass tinted. And my tinter does not want interior door panels installed. So I know they fit. It's just a matter of snapping them on. There's holes all around the perimeter, jam them on. But for now, all we're going to do is set them in over top. Or set one in over top. Hey, I'm curious to see how all this looks too. That's not quite where it needs to be. Right there, actually. That's where it needs to be. But we're not going to do that. The back is there. Ooh, look at that. Okay, I'm going to close this door very carefully. I don't want anything to... No, you see, it's binding up a little bit at the front because it's not in the right location. Let's go take a look from that side. I'm curious myself. That looks pretty, guys. The red off the dash carries on and right up into the door, top of the door. There is a trim piece that goes just underneath the top of the dash. I'm not sure how much is going to be visible, but I want to see if we need to or not need to create one more trim piece down the top side of the door, about 2 inches, well, in line with the top of the dash. Or the bottom of the dash, I should say. There's another trim piece that goes in. Steering wheel turned out really well. Needs to be pressed on all the way, so that'll take care of that gap there. And a little more work on that front panel piece. That's pretty much it. So once I have my little switch, once it arrives, we'll get that installed. I'll power that actuator up, bring the screen up, see how that looks. All that wiring will be tucked in and sitting where it has to be sitting and not creating any tension on the panels, and that will essentially finish that area off. A bit of dust. Alright guys, well when it came to the interior of this car, I wanted it to be more or less like a time capsule. All original gauges, dash, all that stuff looking more or less original. Even the steering wheel might have looked like it came that way in 1956. The seats, we took a little liberty with those because I wanted something to be comfortable. That bouncy bench seat that was in here originally, first of all, I sat way too high, and since we chopped the roof, I needed to get down a little bit lower so it'd be more comfortable to drive. So right now, it's feeling really good when you're sitting behind the wheel. Dash-wise, we still need to do some work inside there, get that last switch installed, get the panels in. Once those are in, we can take the wiring will be set back, and those final panels can be done on the console. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, give us a comment down below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It helps us out a lot, and share our channel with your friends. Take care. Next time you see this, it'll be all done. Heater works.